Good evening, everybody. Welcome to the Anaheim Elementary School District February 9th board meeting. I am AESD Board President Juan G. Alvarez. I call this meeting to order at 5:30. This meeting is being conducted in person and by means of live video broadcast on our Anaheim Elementary YouTube channel for members of the public. Para español, puede conectarse por teléfono de la siguiente manera. Llame al 406-641-2093. Cuando se le pida, presione la clave 122-770-177 y la tecla numeral. Any member of the public has an opportunity to address the board in person during the agendized public comment sessions or may choose to submit their public comment in writing by 12 p.m. the day of the board meeting via an electronic form. Comments submitted online will be read during the appropriate agendized public comment session. Let's begin with item 1A, the board roll call. Here we have board member Mark Lopez.
Good evening.
Today, board member Dr. Paulo McCallis will not be present. Next, we have board member Ryan A. Ruelas.
Hello.
Next, we have board clerk Jackie Philbeck.
Hi, everyone.
And good evening again. My name is Juan Gabriel Alvarez. Okay, public speakers for closed session agenda items. There are no public speakers for closed session agenda items that were received as of 12 p.m. today. Item 2, adjournment to closed session. Can I get a motion?
So moved. Relis.
Second.
Okay, I have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All right, all in favor of moving to closed session, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay, any opposed? Any abstentions? All right, we're moving on to closed session. Here we go.
No, it's the school everybody's going to.
Good evening, everybody. Welcome to the Anaheim Elementary School District February 9 board meeting. I am AESD President Juan Gabriel Alvarez. I call this meeting to order at 6:30 p.m. This meeting is being conducted in person and by means of live video broadcast on our Anaheim Elementary YouTube channel to the members of the public. Spanish interpretation of the board meeting is available to attendees. Para español, puede conectarse por teléfono de la siguiente manera. Llame al 406-641-2093. Cuando se le pida, presiona la clave o el PIN 122-770-177 y la tecla numeral. Let's begin with the flag salute with Dr. Downey. Thank you, Dr. Downing. Let's move on to introductions and roll call. To my right, we have board member Mark A. Lopez.
Present. Good evening, everyone.
Okay, Dr. Paulo McCallis will not be present tonight. Next, we have Ryan A. Ruelas, board member.
Hello.
We have board clerk Jackie Philbeck.
Good evening, everyone.
And once again, I'm Juan Gabriel Alvarez, board president. And then we have, to my left, we have Dr. Downing, our superintendent.
Good evening, everyone.
And we have Dr. Mary Grace, assistant superintendent of educational services.
Good evening.
Dina Melland, assistant superintendent of human resources.
Good evening.
Jesse Chavarria is also not with us today. Okay, and then to my right, I have Tracy Golden, Senior Director of School Safety and Operations.
Good evening, everyone.
We have Iris Camacho, the Senior Administrative Assistant.
Hi, everybody.
And to our back, we have Yasmin Anaya and Alina Avila Roque, our interpreters. And then we also have Janice Cato, our technology support technician. And Brian Brooks in the back in the media area. He's the media service supervisor. Okay, moving on to item 3C, report of closed session actions taken. There are none. All right, let's move on to item 3D, adoption of the agenda. May I get a motion?
So moved. Relis.
Second.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All right, all in favor of approving the agenda, say aye.
Aye.
Okay, any opposed? Abstentions? Okay, motion carries 4-0. Okay, let's move on to item 4, special order of business. First, we have the 2020-2021 District Financial Audit. I think we have Priscilla Martinez, Director of Business Services, and Monique Manzo, a Supervisor, and Christy White, Accountancy Corporation.
I'm here tonight to introduce our guest presenter of the 2020-21 Financial Audit. But before I do, I'd like to acknowledge my co-director, Matt Slusser, my accounting supervisor, Eduardo, and the entire fiscal staff to help prepare and to provide documentation to our auditors. I'd also like to thank all the district staff and departments who supported us during the review of this audit. And now I would like to introduce Monique Manzo, the supervisor from Christy White Accountancy. She'll be joining us virtual. So
Hi, I can't hear anything on my end. Okay, I'll go ahead and begin. Hopefully I'm not cutting anyone off, but I just want to say good evening to the members of the board, and thank you, Priscilla, for your introduction. We've concluded our audit of the district's funds, capital assets, long-term debt, and compliance with state and federal law for the year ended June 30th, 2021. As you may already know, districts are required to have an annual independent audit completed by December 15th of each year. However, given the pandemic, the reporting deadline was extended yet again for 2021 fiscal year. So to kind of provide a background on role, management's responsibility is to design and implement effective internal controls over financial reporting, as well as the preparation and fair presentation of financial statements, as well as preparing and managing the budget throughout the year. Our responsibility is to express an opinion over these financial statements, as well as compliance with applicable federal and state awards. Our opinion does not address the financial condition of the district, nor does it provide absolute assurance. However, we would be required to disclose either one of these cases. So our first audit opinion is over the district's financial statements. And in our opinion, the financial statements present fairly in all material respects as of June 30th, 2021, and they're in accordance with accounting principles generally accepted in the United States of America. So this is equivalent to an unmodified opinion, which is the best opinion a district can possibly have. It doesn't sound like the best, but I guarantee you it is. So in order to express our opinion over the financial statements, we have to kind of gain an understanding of the district's internal controls over their fiscal processes. So we do that by kind of just performing inquiries and testing over cash collections, cash disbursements, and purchasing, as well as payroll. We also verify any ending balances of balance sheet accounts, so your cash, accounts payable, accounts receivable, capital assets, and so on. And we also look at revenue and expenditures incurred during the year. Throughout our audit procedures, we didn't know any significant deficiencies or material weaknesses. Because the district did expend more than $750,000 during 2021 fiscal year, we're required to perform a single audit in accordance with uniform grant guidance. So for this year, we selected 3 programs, and they're listed here. So we looked at your Title I program, the Education Stability, excuse me, the ESF funds, which is comprised of ESSER and GEAR funding, as well as the Coronavirus Relief Fund. Again, another unmodified opinion here, best opinion possible. No significant deficiencies or material weaknesses were noted. The last opinion that we express is in respect to state awards. So this would be anything within the LEA state audit guide that is applicable to your district. So you'll see here listed distance learning, teacher credentials, kindergarten continuance, and so on. And again, unmodified opinion, best opinion possible, no significant deficiencies, no material weaknesses. And I'd really like to take a moment to just commend your staff on the implementation of distance learning. We understand the challenges that everyone faced last year with requirements and guidelines kind of provided later in the year when school had already started. You guys overall did an amazing job. And this is just a table summarizing the opinion letters. And this is towards the end of the audit report. I feel like this is the main page everyone looks at. So this is just the summary of auditors' results. One key point specific to 2021 fiscal year is noted in note 15 of the audit report, which was a restatement of net position and fund balance. This was caused due to the implementation of GASB 84, which was related to fiduciary funds. So in the past, student body accounts or your ASB account was presented as a fiduciary fund. But given GASB 84, this is now included within the district's fund accounting within Fund 8. So you'll see a restatement to the beginning fund balance for government activities as well as Fund 8. So in closing, we appreciate the hard work your staff put into this audit and really into the full year. We completed a remote audit this year again, and with all the challenges they already face and having to deal with people being out because of COVID, they did a great job. So I really just want to say thank you to your staff and everyone who was a part of the audit. That concludes my presentation. If you have questions, hopefully I can hear you.
Board members, any questions? Looks like there are no questions. I just want to say thank you. Thanks for the report. Thank you all for all your hard work and diligence. It's really appreciated. Thanks.
Thank you.
Okay, let's move on to item 4B. It is recommended the Board of Education receive and accept the 2020-2021 annual financial audit as completed by Christie White Accountancy Corporation. Education code requires school districts to have an annual financial audit. The audit has been provided under separate cover. The financial audit is available for public review on the Anaheim Elementary School District website.
So moved.
I have a motion.
Second.
I have a second. Any further discussion? All right. No, all in favor of approving the financial audit, say aye. Okay, any opposed? Abstentions? Okay, motion passes 4-0. Thank you. Okay, item 4C, the AESD adjustment of trustee area boundaries. We have a presentation from Ronald Wincart from AALRR and Angela Banuelos from Cooperative Strategies. Welcome, thank you.
Thank you very much. It's a pleasure to be back. Angela Banuelos is here to answer any questions that you may have. This presentation will be similar to ones we've done in the past, just to kind of bring you up to date and earlier presentations that Angela and I did, and to give you some new information as well.
Can I stop you real fast? Hey, we're not getting access to the file for the presentation. Can we get it, please? Thank you.
Yeah, the slides are not advancing from the clicker. Let's see. Is it on?
If you want to tell me how.
Oh, okay. If you could advance it to the next slide, thank you. Okay, thank you very much. So, as you know, there's 5 members of the Anaheim Elementary Board are elected by trustee area. Each board member must reside in the trustee area, and only the voters who reside in that trustee area may vote for that board member. The elections are staggered, with 2 board members elected in one election and 3 board members elected in the next election. So if we could go to the next slide. Federal and state law require that the trustee areas must be equal in population. The trustee areas cannot vary in population by more than 10%. And then due to the growth or shifts in population over a 10-year period, the trustee areas may vary by more than 10% after 10 years. And there's a specific education code, section 5019.5, that requires school districts to adjust the boundaries of the trustee areas every 10 years following the release of the census, if the population variance is 10% or more. So the 2020 census was released in September 2021, and when the results were reviewed, there's a if we could go to the next slide, statutory deadline for making those adjustments is March 1st, 2022. So we're quickly approaching that deadline. If the deadline is not met, then the Orange County Committee on School District Organization makes those adjustments. So the process for making those adjustments, as you're aware, is to hire the services of a demographer, and the district has done so. Then the demographer reviews the census data to see if there's been population growth or a shift in population in the trustee areas. So if we could go to the next slide. The district's demographer has reviewed the demographic information from the 2020 census and determined that there is a variance of 18.0% in population from the most populated trustee area to the least populated trustee area. So for that reason, we've gone through this process of adjusting the trustee areas to bring them into compliance for the next 10 years. So if we can go to the next slide. So based on the instructions of this board, we followed a timeline starting with November 17th. We had a public hearing where we discussed a lot of the same information that I just went over. December 9th, a family letter was sent out. We had a number of community forums that are all listed here, and Angela and I attended those community forums with the superintendent, and presentations similar to the one we're giving tonight was given for the community. So if we could go to the next slide. So this slide represents the trustee area timeline. From January 5th to January 31st, the district had placed drop boxes at each school so that parents and other members of the community could provide input and feedback to this board on which map they prefer. There was a family letter that went out on January 20th. A staff letter also went out on January 20th. and further information was sent out between January 21st and January 31st. January 26th, Cooperative Strategies and I provided an update to the board at the board meeting, and then the timeline is for tonight for the board to make a decision. So if we could go to the next slide. So as you're aware, the demographer proposed 3 scenarios for the board's consideration and public input and board input. Each of the scenarios vary in population by less than 10% and do not discriminate against protected classes. All 3 maps meet legal requirements. So I'm going to go through some of the characteristics of each of those maps that the demographer went into detail at the last meeting, so I won't go into quite as much detail as Angela did. But as you can see, scenario 1 was drawn in consideration of minor boundary changes by decreasing Area 4 and expanding Area 5 to bring the district back into compliance. In this scenario, Roosevelt Elementary School moved from Area 4 to Area 5. And if you look at the CVAP information, you can see that 3 majority Latino districts are created. Those are the ones that are circled in green. And that's one of the goals of the California Voting Rights Act, is to encourage the development of majority protected class trustee areas, so that minority groups and protected classes, typically Latinos, Asian Americans, or African Americans, have an opportunity to elect the candidate of their choice. So if we look at the next slide, scenario 2, similar considerations for minor adjustment boundaries by moving Jefferson Elementary School into Area 1, Mann Elementary School into Area 2, and by balancing the number of schools within each area. So those were the considerations for scenario 2. In this case, there were 4 majority Latino trustee areas based on the citizen voting age population, and those are circled in green, so you can see those. And this map also had the lowest population variance of 6.3%. And then if you look at scenario 3, it was drawn with minor boundary adjustments as well by decreasing Area 4, expanding Area 5, moving Jefferson Elementary School from Area 4 into Area 1, and Roosevelt from Area 4 into Area 5. In this case, there are 3 majority Latino trustee areas circled in green, and then trustee Area 4 is 49.4%, so almost a majority there. And this one has a population variance of 7.7%. So as you can see, all 3 maps are well below the 10% variance. So if we go to the next slide, kind of summing up the community input, there was 14 in-person community forums conducted, including virtual access. Online surveys were posted on websites of 7 identified schools and then on the district's website. Drop boxes were available during the month of January. There was feedback from the various scenarios. A number of questions were asked when we were giving the presentations about the maps, and so there was quite a bit of interaction, which was, we both enjoyed having that interaction. When I say both of us, I mean our demographer, Angela Banuelos, and myself. And there was a survey link and follow-up emails from a number of parents. So there was quite a bit of community interaction. So if we go to the next slide, this is the feedback that we received. As you can see, in scenario 1, it was favored by 26.2% of the people who responded. Scenario 2 was favored by 46.2%, and scenario 3 by 21.5%, and then 6.2%. I need to get better glasses. 6.2% didn't like any of the maps or didn't agree with the maps. So those are good results. Those are good solid feedback. Believe me, that's more than a lot of other school districts have done. And both Cooperative Strategies and I have worked with a number of school districts. And this district definitely went the extra mile to get community feedback. So if we go to the next slide, in talking with the superintendent, after reviewing the proposed maps, the staff is recommending scenario 2. The reason is that that was the one that was favored by the majority of the community when we received the feedback. It best meets all of the criteria that was discussed by the public and the board. It makes minor adjustments by moving Jefferson Elementary School into Area 1, Mann Elementary into Area 2, and balances the number of schools in each trustee area. And we have a slide that will show you on that in a minute. It creates 4 Hispanic Latino majority trustee areas as opposed to 3, and the population variance is the lowest at 6.3%. So I'm not saying that we're not saying that the other maps are not good maps. They're all good maps. But in looking at all 3 maps, we thought that this was probably the one that met the criteria the best. So if we go to the next slide, this is the balance of the schools from the current trustee areas. So you can see it ranges from 4 to 6 schools in each trustee area. And I won't go through the names of all the schools that are in each trustee area, but you can see those on the slide. And then if you go to the next slide, these are, with scenario 2, it's similar. There'll be 4 to 5 schools in each trustee area, and they're listed. So there's a little bit of change from the current trustee areas, but you still have the balance of schools that we talked about when we were discussing scenario 2. So that's kind of the formal presentation. I appreciate your time and listening. And Angela Benuelos is here, and I'm here to answer any questions that you might have.
Board members, any questions?
I have one. So between the difference between 2 and 3, it's basically that the variance was just a little bit lower in 2.
Right.
And there were 3 of the Hispanic majority areas versus, 4 versus 3. And then the other populations, like the Asian and African American, were pretty similar in both, correct?
Yeah, all 3 maps are pretty similar.
They stayed pretty,
Yeah.
because that's what it was looking like to me. I just kind of wanted to clarify that
Yeah.
it didn't look like there were really a lot of differences.
No, there were minor adjustments in each
Okay.
map, just in slightly different ways, but no major differences between the 3 maps.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you very much for your assistance. It's appreciated. Thank you. Okay. All right, so it's recommended that the Board of Education adopt resolution number 2021-2225 to adopt a trustee area plan and a transition to by trustee area elections.
So moved.
Okay, second?
Second.
Is there any further discussion or comments about the process or the maps or anything like that?
Yeah, I would like to just say thank you all very much for undertaking this. This was definitely a lot less painful than last time we had to do this when we were first starting with this whole process. You all were very clear and concise with us as you walked us through this process. And to my colleagues up here on the board, I think it's great that everybody has been very transparent with one another. It's not about, I'm losing a school, or, oh, this, you're gaining a school, or, kind of thing. And we always kept our eye on the prize, which is the fact that this is done to protect the California Voting Rights Act and to make sure that we're protecting the specific groups of individuals. So I agree wholeheartedly with scenario 2. I think it's great that the people who had input at these various meetings also agreed with it, it seems, almost overwhelmingly. And just thank you.
Basically, what Mr. Ellis said, thank you for your time and effort in putting this together, especially since they were all so similar. You had to really get down into kind of the nitty-gritty details. And I've always said I'll be for whatever is best for this district, and so I appreciate the recommendation that you gave us. I will say that as Mann shifts into another district, I'm a little sad, but we all take care of this district at large, and so fear not, Mann, I will be back around, but it's all about what's evens it out at the best, which supports the data and which is best for our district. And so for that reason, I am also in support of map 2.
Sure, just to close out, I'm really appreciative and thankful that there are no shenanigans going on with these maps, right? All 3 that you presented to us fell under the law as they should, which is always great to see, right? And just a testament to our board members and our commitment to this district. None of us were trying to do some underhanded tomfoolery, I guess you could say, right? So it's really kind of refreshing to know that we all stand behind each other and we stand behind all of our schools, and we're literally on the same page to make sure that we're doing exactly what needs to be done to ensure A, that voters are protected, and B, that our students are supported no matter what. So just really thankful for that scenario. Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, sorry about that. Just wanted to close it with a bang. But anyway, I just want to say thank you, Mr. Wincart, and extend my thanks also, Ms. Banuelos. I did see a couple of your videos. I know Dr. Moreno was in at least one of them that I saw, and Dr. Downing and our staff for, as you said, Mr. Wincart, going above and beyond, keeping everything above board, as my colleagues mentioned, and ensuring that we're transparent and accountable, and really following the spirit and the letter of the law. So I appreciate that. It is difficult because it's a decennial process. It's hard to have that institutional knowledge and memory, even though I think it was less than 10 years ago when we first had our boundaries implemented. But I appreciate all the hard work that you put into it. So thank you very much.
Right, and similar sentiment, just the due diligence that we put together and the careful planning that we come up with ways and tactics and strategies to connect to our public. Just as simple as a Dropbox in the main office with the maps available. Little things like that do make a lot of difference within the structure of our neighborhoods and families that would like access to that information, right? So I really do appreciate everything we did to put it out there for our families and to give as much input as possible. And it was mentioned that we got more feedback than most districts do. So it's just a testament to our work, and also kind of a reminder that we need to keep improving on that work, but right? It's always a goal, and it's really refreshing to see the results as we move forward with different tasks at hand. Okay, ready for a vote? All right, all in favor of the recommendation?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Okay, motion carries 4-0. Thank you so much for your time. Appreciate it. Thank you. All right, so just to remind everybody, all of these presentations that we saw tonight will be posted on the district website, on the Board of Education link on the website by tomorrow, okay? All right, let's move on to item number 5. We have news and updates. 5A, parent leadership group updates. There are none. 5B, association updates. There are none. 5C, district news and updates. There's district news and updates tonight by Dr. Mary Grace, Assistant Superintendent of Educational Services. Thank you.
Magically, it's working. Good evening. Thank you, Board President and community. I am here tonight to go over some news and updates for the last 2 weeks since we last met. We're very excited to announce that Parenting OC Magazine has come out and selected one of our teachers in Anaheim to be in the top, first it was in the top 25, but we are proud to announce that Mrs. Lynn Terry, second grade teacher at Thomas Jefferson, is being recognized as one of the top 10 teachers by Parenting Magazine OC. So we're very proud of her. She's pictured here with a representative from Parenting OC Magazine, Dr. Song, the principal, as well as Mr. Moore, the vice principal. There's a link to a video for you at home, so you can watch the surprise visit. It was really cute. They walked through the whole school, and all the kids were like, where are they going? So I invite you to watch that. Next, Lunar New Year was on February 1st. And it is celebrated in various, was it the first or second? You gave me a funny look. I'll have to look. But It's celebrated by various Asian cultures, and we would like to share with you, we have our Korean dual language program. We would like to share with you what occurred at their school. On the left, there's a picture of a money envelope. In some cultures, particularly the Vietnamese and Chinese cultures, it's a red envelope. In the Korean culture, it is generally a light-colored white or pastel envelope. And the envelope symbolizes good luck. And traditionally what happens is the younger people, in our case the students in the class, gave a traditional bow to the elders, Mr. Lopez, Dr. Downing. And they were then to reward the children with money. So,
school created money.
yes.
I'm sorry, Dr. Grace, I was just going to ask a clarifying question. You got Trustee Lopez to give out money?
I don't.
Are you joking?
The money was actually
Amazing.
provided by the classroom. I think it was some kind of PBIS money.
Okay. I was going to say, this is amazing Aesd if you got him to do that. So thank you.
So the picture on the right shows the children going through the traditional bowing ceremony. In addition, many of our students wore traditional Korean clothing, which is called the hanbok. Pictured in the middle is our kindergarten teacher, Miss Seong Kim, with board member Philbeck, and Miss Kim is in one of the traditional hanboks. And then the kindergarten class was preparing to greet and provide the traditional bowing ceremony to Dr. Downing. Also, the first week of February, our Aesd music program was featured on ABC 7 in a segment called Solutions. What was featured is this amazing device. It's by a company called Artiphone. It's called the Orba. It looks like, when I was a kid, we got an electronic Simon Says, right? So it looks very much like that. But this little device, the size of probably a hockey puck, allows our students to create music. It's a synthesizer, it's a looper, it is a drum, a bass, chord. So the kids can create music and then play it back. So it's really fascinating. And the teacher that was featured, Miss Rosalie Sparks at Revere, has been working with the company. We met the company at the NAM convention in January of 2020. And they wanted to partner with us because they knew this was a device that particularly our students in special education would be able to have great success with. And so Ms. Sparks and the team at Revere worked together. And again, there's a link to the video of the news clip that I encouraged the public to watch and rewatch because it's really a beautiful segment. So thanks to Rosalie Sparks and our music curriculum specialist, Mark Anderson, for organizing that. Then that took us into the weekend, where on Saturday we had our Aesd Enrollment Festival. This is a time where we bring out all of our schools, our curriculum partners, our community partners, to show the community what it is to attend a school in Anaheim. And we were able to enroll families. We had an enrollment center inside the NPR at Orange Grove. We had our front greeting stations, and I think in that one we have Miss Yamile Canyon and Mrs. Bermudez, and a former Aesd student greeting our families. We had a giant version of Gigi. He's always well liked by our students. And then you can see a little girl playing the ukulele at the music booth, the DLI booth, and some of the people walking through the enrollment festival. Really want to give a shout out to our administrators and their staff for showing up and having their booths enticing for everyone to come see. We also had our school counselors and mental health team out there showing that Anaheim Elementary really does support our students and families as well as the whole child. And there's some more pictures of some preschool activities as well as our counselors. And then finally on Saturday, Dr. Downing and board president, Mr. Alvarez, they rode in one of the Aesd vans through the Black History Parade, and the Black History Parade is a tradition in Anaheim, and it's put on by the Orange County Culture Committee. So it was a very busy 2 weeks, and we thank you for your attention, and I do encourage you to look at those videos. So thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Grace. Okay, moving on to item 6, public speakers. Speakers on the agenda or non-agenda items. There are no speakers for public comment. There was no request received as of 12 p.m. today. Okay, moving on to item 7A, AESD return to in-person instruction update. Dr. Christopher Downing and Tracy Golden. Thank you.
Okay, good evening, members of the board. I'm here to report out on the COVID vaccines and testing. Oh, there we go. Okay. So we had our second round of vaccine clinics, and at Olive, we had a very successful one at 1:45 on January 29th. At Edison, we originally had the clinic scheduled for the 2nd, but they had some issues during transportation with the temperature of the vaccines, and they just wanted to be really safe, so they decided, you know what, we're not going to use these. And they called everybody to make sure that they knew that they were going to reschedule it. They rescheduled it to the 8th. They gave them the chance to go to Edison on the 8th, or they also offered Ponderosa, which is happening today right now. So yesterday we were able to vaccinate 45 people, and then the clinic today at Ponderosa will report at the next board meeting. It's happening right now. Our on-site COVID testing, this is testing at Key, and also at our school sites. For the week of January 24th, we tested 1,336 people, staff and students, and then during the week of the 31st, we tested 1,069. And we're very happy to report that starting this week, we have community COVID testing clinics at 6 of our schools, and that means that anybody in the community can test here, and it's open on Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays from 4 to 8. And the schools are Edison, Lincoln, Mann, Marshall, Ponderosa, and Ross. Turn it over.
And before Dr. Marino comes on, I just want to publicly recognize Board President Alvarez and Dr. McCollis for connecting us with DLS Laboratory to provide this great testing for the community. So thank you very much.
And I will continue to report on the expanded learning program. What you have in front of you is, again, the program goals that continue to guide what we are trying to model in our before and after school programs. All the program goals really do focus on the esteemed branding that we do, so it goes hand in hand. Currently, we are serving 2,273 students in Anaheim Achieves and 4,508 students in our ELO program. So together, that's 6,781 students staying before or after school with us, which is about 1 in every 3 of our AESD scholars. We had a week of fun. The week of January 24th through the 29th, we had various news media events that we had, and some of our schools were specifically highlighted: Ponderosa, Orange Grove, Juarez, Roosevelt, and Price. But really, it was all our school sites and what they've been able to serve our scholars with before and after school. So the media hits that we had, it was various TV, radio, online, and print. But what's really impressive are the media impressions that we had, which was nearly 197 million. So that was huge. Our first expanded learning opportunities newsletter was emailed out to our families. We had over 12,000 views, almost 8,000 in English and about 4,000 in Spanish. And what this allowed was
our parents to just have that extra ability to pretty much send an email and say, okay, I'm interested in this program. How do I enroll? What do I do? So we were able to connect more of our students with the site coordinators or the administration at the specific school sites, and we're able to enroll more students. So it was exciting. We also, kind of going back to the program goals, continuous improvement and student voice is the part of the program guide. So in our newsletter, at the end of our newsletter, we do have a feedback form. And it allows a parent to be able to leave us a comment or even capture something that their child has shared with them. 2 comments that I want to read and share with you is a Juarez parent said, I love the fact that they're involved in extracurricular activities and not just there, early or late. They enjoy hanging out with their friends and doing fun things. One of our man parents said, it gives me the time to pick up my child after school and she likes to learn new things. So those 2 comments really capture what we're trying to do, is allow our parents to not have to rush, know that their children are taken care of and they're enriched in something, whether it's extracurricular or academic. Our parenting partners in our with our parents was a huge success. So on this past week, there was the trainer models that our district has done for the previous years, but due to the pandemic, it hasn't happened since 2019. So this was an in-person trainer of trainers model where we were able to train 25 new parents that will go out and teach the parenting partners classes and themes, the series of workshops at their school site alongside with their faces. So that's exciting. So those trainings and those classes will take place from February 22nd all the way till April 8th. So that'll be exciting. 2 of our faces did lead the training, which is Veronica and Anna. They represent Loera and Madison and did an amazing job alongside Yamile and Emma and Yesenia. So it was a great 2 days of learning for our parents. And you could see that they were happy to be together. And that's what we have. Any questions?
So I have a question in regards to, you said you got a lot more people emailing, asking questions based on the push that we've done through social media, etc. What was the uptake with that?
I really think it's just the fact that it's another way for them to see the program. So it's a different exposure for our parents for the program in order to be able to feel safe to ask questions and be able to figure out how to, like we know, navigate the system for them to be successful.
Nice. And then my second question is, how many new parents and families were attracted based on those efforts?
Well, what I would say in this past week, because this went out February 2nd, I would say at least 7 to 10 new students were enrolled in the program, based with the connection of the site admin. So I introduce the site admin, then the site admin kind of takes the lead. I talk about the program in general. I give them the hours, what they're doing, and what they have to offer, and then the admin enrolls the student.
Awesome. And then one final question is dealing with the presentation for the parents in regards to the kind of like the trainer of trainers models.
Mm-hmm.
And you mentioned a few of them that did this last training, et cetera. Does that shift ever, or how does that work, just for my own knowledge?
Does that shift ever?
Does that shift ever in the sense of like we have those 2 trainers of trainers and they lead trainings for these other individuals, but will we ever have another 2 of those individuals that are there to be the trainers of trainers to lead another model, so we kind of, I guess, continue to invest and give them other opportunities to grow as leaders within our district?
Correct. So the goal of the program, what is done is year 1 and year 2 parents are the ones that receive the training. So in theory, our year 3, 4, 5, and 6 PLI parents have received the in-person training. Of course, because of the pandemic, the year 3, year 4. So our faces who work with their parent leaders are aware of kind of who they are and invited some. I mean, ideally, we invited the year 1 and year 2 parents,
but some of the schools had a year 3 parent or a year 4 because of the pandemic. They weren't able to have the training in person. But the parents at the school site who have gone through the trainer of trainer models support the year 1 and year 2 that were just recently trained. They have planning meetings at the school site and are able to lead the parent workshops, which is a series of 6 parent workshops, an hour and a half each, various themes.
Okay. And so when does it ever become where those can kind of do a handoff and they can take ownership and become the trainer of trainers themselves?
That is the goal,
Oh, that
because
is the
our
goal. Okay,
yes. So the
okay, cool.
company, our faces are the trainer of trainers
Okay.
for our parents.
Okay.
So the company has kind of relinquished the duties, and they do have a refresher because the training has changed, especially because there's a virtual component now because of the pandemic, and so our faces and our parenting team is who is now training our parents and staff.
Thank you.
So, you're welcome.
Just a clarification of this alongside or the distinction with this and Anaheim Achieves. If you could just give a little clarification.
Actually, I've been answering that question a lot, and that is an article that will be in the March 1st newsletter. And really, we work together. The goal is to be one comprehensive program in the ELO program. So what we're trying to do is, the question that when I'm having conversations with parents is, what is the goal for your child to stay after school? Do you need a certain time? Because if they need anything after 4:30, Anaheim Achieves is the program for them, because most of our ELO programs end by 4:30. So that's the first question. If it's just, no, I want my child to participate in something, then they can choose. Do you need something later? Anaheim Achieves. Or if you want something, both programs are flexible. So I'm sharing, your child can attend every day, or some days can leave at the end time or before the end time. That's something that we're trying to change in Anaheim Achieves, because I think just the messaging has been that they have to be there every day till 6 p.m., but it's not. So the program is flexible to meet the needs of the parents and what's best for the parents. So we've been having meetings with the site leaders at our school sites, the Anaheim Achieve site leaders, to help parents understand that flexibility. Other than that, when it's something like an assembly that we're programmed that you saw in some of the media hits, we are inviting Anaheim Achieves, and they are calculated in those numbers because we're serving the entire ELO program. Also, lots of our teachers, our Aesd staff, is working with our kiddos. So if the child is enrolled in Anaheim Achieves, but the teacher is doing something special for that class or intervention for that class, something that's unique, the child checks into Anaheim Achieves, attends something, whatever it might be, debate, SLED, intervention with their teacher, cooking class, whatever it is, and then they can go back to Anaheim Achieves. So that was typical, something that we did that was past practice at our school sites, but it's just letting them know that that's the goal of the program, that we're serving all the kids in one expanded learning program.
And I know that the YMCA is experiencing, like a lot of places are needing to hire more people for the program. So our ELO program, what would you say we're doing, or how much is this helping to absorb some of, get kids off the waiting lists that were on waiting lists for Anaheim Achieves?
In the month of January, we were proactive with that. So we knew the waiting list numbers and what we could do. So we wrote a letter to all the students or families that were on the wait list to let them know that although Anaheim Achieves cannot enroll them, ELO does have space in their program. So all our families did receive that letter in January that were placed on the wait list, and we were able to absorb the parents that needed a program immediately. Some of them were still, look, I'm okay waiting, or whatever they decided, but we were able to capture some of the students that way.
That's great to hear. Thank you.
You're
Thank you
welcome.
so much.
Sure, and I just wanted to add just the way I kind of saw it play out. I think the fact that it is our own staff and our own teachers running a lot of this programming, that is refreshing for me as a parent, because, and just to kind of go back to kind of what Trustee Morales was kind of getting at about the numbers of increasing enrollment and how are we getting to our families. The actual teacher themselves reached out to the parents and said, hey, I'm going to partner with this other teacher and we're going to offer XYZ after school for the ELO program. You're more than welcome to sign up. Let us know if you're interested. So we got direct contact from our child's individual teacher, specifically with my situation. And I think as a parent, we're like, this is awesome because he's going to spend more time with their own teacher, right? And so that alone, I think, is huge for some of our families, and knowing that it's their own teacher, in most cases, a teacher they probably already know on campus, that they're connecting with and doing extra stuff that's fun and engaging. So just like I'm really happy for that dynamic to be part of the programming.
Thank you.
Yeah, any other concerns or questions?
Trustee Alvarez, you said something that kind of just sparked something, and Dr. Moreno, I just want to go ahead and put this out there to you. You know, when this was coming out, the whole extended learning opportunities and whatnot, like, I originally was kind of against it, just because of the fact that I'm like, dude, kids are in school a lot, and we're going to basically ask them to go into school for about 3 more hours a day. You know what I mean? But like, when it was all said and done, and talking with teachers and just hearing their feedback and just talking with some of their administrative teams and whatnot throughout our district, it's awesome, the amount of creativity and kind of academic freedom that you are providing them with to really unleash their creativity. And just hearing the excitement in their own voice, it was, you could tell that they're, you know, revitalized, you know, in that sense. And that is awesome. So just please continue to operate with kind of that fashion. I think it's awesome that they're basically able to really you know, be creative and tap into their interests and work with other partners, and, you know, because of the fact that it's what's benefiting our kids, and and it's not seen as, oh, I gotta go to this after school thing. No, it's great. So thank you.
Welcome.
And just kind of along with this, as an aside, it was just interesting. I'm happy to see this because when I was in Japan a few years back, amazingly, this was pretty much already established as the complete day. I mean, it was before I would really even thought about what this looked like, but yet the kids were going to school from early morning, and then as soon as their kind of regular school time quit, they rolled right into this next program that lasted until 6:30, sometimes 7 o'clock. And so I really got exposed to it there, and of course at that time we weren't really here where we are yet, but it makes me look back and think, you know, it's very similar to what I saw that was established, and the kids seem to thrive, do really well with it. So I have high hopes for this and looking forward positively, and thank you for all the work that you're doing on it. It's a lot. It's a lot of work to get this organized, so thank you.
You're welcome. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you so much. All right, next we have item 7B, the CREST update with Maria Villegas, Director of Curriculum and Instruction, and Laura Houston, Teacher on Special Assignment. Thank you.
Well, good evening. Nice to see you all. President Alvarez, Superintendent Downing, board members, cabinet, thank you so much for having us this evening. We have a brief presentation for you this evening where we're going to update you on the CREST committee and share some of the work to date that's transpired as a result of our committee work. And of course, joining me is Laura Houston, our wonderful teacher on special assignment. She helps with history, social studies, VAPA, and also culturally and linguistically responsive teaching. All right, so this is a slide you've seen before, but I wanted to just give you a little bit of update. Again, our CREST committee is made of approximately 30 members, teachers, district personnel. You know, we've had 6 meeting dates to date, and they've all been highly attended. I think on average 75% of our committee members are present, which I think speaks to their engagement. We've engaged in over 12 hours of PD together, where it's been this shared learning along this topic, if you will, and also a couple of hours of offline learning for articles and videos and so forth. So it's just been a solid group of committed individuals. Also, so the objective started off with how can we capitalize on knowing what our district goals are to have a culturally and linguistic responsive district and connect that to our professional learning. marry some topics and ideas and bring that to staff members. And so part of that objective was through professional learning. That was what our task force was tasked with. And always our why was about students. How are we ensuring that this work starts and finishes with students in terms of preparing them here in our own elementary district, as well as preparing them for bridging them to have success in junior high and high school. So that work from our task force, I also was going to mention, our task force initiated a year ago. It feels like it's been so much longer, but a year ago is when we started this work together with our task force. And quite frankly, I'm proud to say that it's translated into some very concrete outcomes that we're going to share with you through these next couple of slides. But the big picture out of the recommendations of our task force was to really engage in professional learning, to build that year one of awareness with teachers and staff. And there you have what those three big pieces were going to be. We left off the slide that we did have our leadership summit that was kicked off with Dr. Tyrone Howard, that from the Graduate School of Information Studies at UCLA, that started with our leadership team to engage us as a team in August, start thinking of how we engage our scholars and elevate what we're doing with them in terms of their learning. So that bridged us into what you're seeing here as the big picture that we set out with our goals to have professional learning for all. That meeting one was in August, an all-staff PD, and Laura's just going to give you a little taste of what that looked like in her next slide, but that was on implicit bias, of course, and how to limit those impacts. And we just had our PD training for our leadership team right now, meeting 2, where we took our leadership through developing awareness around asset-based pedagogy and culturally and linguistically responsive teaching. And we've charged our principals with taking this information and sharing it with their staffs. And of course, we have meeting 3. And part of our goal has been to equip our principals in being the champions of this message by providing them the PD, the script, supports with videos if needed. And we've been very intentional in this, in that we want to couple with our leaders to be the champions of this message, and to make them feel well prepared to engage their staff members, because we know the people closest to our schools are the ones who can really impact and engage that trust from staff members to have these types of conversations. And we also want to send the message that part of doing this work is normalizing it, where we can all talk about it, whether it's a teacher or a principal, and we think there's value in that. So that's been kind of our trainer model in terms of how we're rolling out PD this year. So with that said, and the last thing, I just wanted to connect us back that the work that we are doing is directly connected to our Lcap goals that have been in place for the last 2 years. We identified and outlined a metric in goal 1 that specifically speaks to implicit bias training, and the goal that 100% of the staff would be trained in this area. So that's a metric that we're monitoring and that we feel confident will be fully met at 100%. So with that, I'll pass it over to Laura.
Good evening, everybody. So back on November 1st, we had the all-staff PD on implicit bias and its effects in the classroom and how to limit the effects. And we had 2,200 staff members trained, and of those, 622 were pre-K through 6th grade teachers. I've included a link to my slide presentation there. After the presentation, I taught an art lesson to everybody, to all 2,200 people, and it was a self-reflection art lesson on evaluating our own implicit bias. And you can see there we had a pamphlet, which was like a self-reflection tool for participants to record their thoughts or just use to help them with discourse. I was going to say academic discourse, but just with dialogue with one another. And then there was a student art project that teachers could take back to the classroom called My Name, My Identity. And I also linked the recorded YouTube presentation in case you didn't get a chance to see it there. I included an exit survey, and some people responded. 362 people responded at the end of the November 1st all-staff PD. And as you can see, 50% of the staff surveyed said that they would like more training on incorporating restorative methods. And also they requested more training on talking about racial injustice with young students, a very difficult topic. And as a result of that survey in January of this year, Pupil Services hosted a couple of PDs on restorative practices. And then I'm in the middle of a civics cohort right now. I'm partnering with Anaheim Union High School District with Ruben Patino and Dr. Jeff Kim. And there's only 7 of us. It's awesome. And there's 9 classes. And so I have a long-term plan, not too long-term, but a plan of using civics as a way to teach social justice to young students. So that's on the horizon. And next slide. So last Friday, I presented the second trimester training to all leadership virtually, and that focus was developing awareness of asset-based pedagogy and just getting an introduction to culturally and linguistically responsive teaching, just an introduction. And all leadership was trained, and Maria explained the idea is for site admin to take the information back to their own staff at a staff meeting during the second trimester. I've linked the slide there. And I always write a script with my slideshows so that if principals would like to refer to it, they may. So trimester 3, the long-term plan is to dig deeper into CLRT, culturally and linguistically responsive teaching. And what I imagine that looks like is just shoring up our connections to our current curriculum and looking at what resources and tools we have. And then also, I would like to connect more with parents. And I want to fill them in with what's been completed thus far in the district. And I would like to also touch on the topics of implicit bias and CLRT with parents and show them too how it supports classroom instruction. And our next CREST meeting, number 7, is on May 16th. And then looking ahead at our future CREST meeting, we're going to continue to explore data and look at the exit survey, get more feedback, begin to explore different ways to capture street data from students. And by that, I mean not just traditional data that we've always used, but more data from the ground up, really getting to know and talking to students and community members and parents, especially those on the margins, because that's really important. And finally, the CREST committee needs to get together and outline our next steps for future professional learning in 2022-23. And we always end our CREST meetings with this butterfly for multiple reasons. My first idea with using this was the idea of metamorphosis, because we're all going through a change. And this is just the picture of a culturally proficient individual. And that's my presentation. There's a little kindergartner's art from the Fred Korematsu Day art lesson. But thank you. If you have any questions.
Board members, any questions?
Yes, just one question and a comment. In this slide 2, my first question was going to be just how the attendance was for the task force, so you already answered that. I was just wondering the composition of the committee. It does mention that there are community partners and parents. I just want to make sure that when we say there's 30 members and there's a parent there, it's not just one parent, but we do have it representative that...
We have 3.
Okay, perfect. Okay, great. Thank you. And then, again, I just always kind of want to ask any of our staff that comes to the board, appreciate your time coming here this evening, or after 7:30 now.
It's been a long day.
Right, long week. Take Monday off. Is there anything that we can do to help you be more successful. I mean, you've already been successful. It looks like based on your presentation, I think it's very well done, very well composed. You've been very productive in getting a lot of things done. Is there any other support that we can provide for you?
I can't think of anything at this moment, but if I do, I will be sure to reach out. I haven't thought along those lines yet.
Okay. All right. Well, you know where to find us.
Thank you.
But I do appreciate all that you've done. I think it's really important that we're working with Anaheim Union as well.
Yeah.
That vertical articulation, the collaboration with our districts, our partner districts. So I just want to congratulate you on that. So thank you very much. That concludes my comments. Thank you.
Thank you for the presentation. Very, very informative. And back on slide 6, just a small question regarding the survey. And 38.7% wanting more support, becoming more of a warm demander. Can you explain a little bit what that statement is and a warm demander?
Sure. A warm demander is an educator that holds high expectations for the students, but is more of a, I'll use the term warm demander instead of a drill sergeant. And a warm demander understands the struggles that a student is going through and appreciates effort, and just really supports the students. And it's one of those teachers who makes sure that every child is seen and heard every single day, that like not a day goes by that that teacher doesn't check in with the child. It's balancing the social emotional part of the school day with academic, together. I presented warm demander in the presentation on November 1st, and I think maybe some people hadn't heard of it before, so they checked off that they wanted to learn more. It's like if you think of Jaime Escalante, do you know his story from the teacher from Garfield High School? He taught AP Calculus to his high school students. Stand and Deliver, that movie. So he's an excellent example of someone who was a warm demander.
I was just going to ask a clarifying question to those, and maybe you know as well, if you've ever heard the story of Dr. Victor Rios. Would his teacher that basically was like, yeah, I get that you have problems, and yeah, I get that you come from the streets, and yeah, life's hard, but let's take care of business, and let's go to school, and let's get you to Berkeley.
Yeah, it's definitely holding really high expectation, but also bringing the kids with you and saying, like, you can do it, and you are worth the investment, even though it's hard.
Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you for bringing that up, Board Clerk Philbeck, because it's really important to understand what we're talking about sometimes. But yeah, I love that idea. I think it's very current, right? Especially with a lot of our students still experiencing a lot of trauma, right? So to be invited into a classroom where, the teacher does have high expectations, but yes, also the teacher sees the human side of the interactions. It's really important. So I appreciate that. I also just want to commend you for being open to taking on a very versatile role as a TOSA, like the TOSA of all trades, I guess you could say, right?
Yes.
So that's appreciated. Yeah. And I know that sometimes you're just, you have to be creative in the way you come up with what you're coming up with, and just know that it's valued, the research you're doing, the tactics you're using, the creativity you're using because of your background as an artist, right? All these things that you're an asset that's guiding us forward, and it's noticeable and it's appreciated. So thank you so much for being so open.
I really appreciate that. They all really go together, like art and social studies and civics and all of this.
Right. That's why I think it's so perfect. So it's like it wasn't planned, right? And then just kind of happened, and it was just it makes sense now that if you reflect on who you are as a person, as an educator, and where we're guided by your interactions. So thank you so much.
Thank you.
Okay, you good? We appreciate you. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you.
All right, just as a reminder, these presentations will be posted on the district website on the Board of Education page by tomorrow. Okay, let's move on to the item 8, consent calendar. Items listed under the consent calendar are considered to be routine and are acted on by the board in one motion. There is no discussion of these items unless a member of the board staff, or the public request specific items to be discussed and or removed from the consent calendar. Are there any items at this time that you would like to pull, trustees? Okay, seeing none. Can I get a motion to ratify the consent calendar?
So moved.
We have a motion
Second.
and a second. Okay, all in favor to ratify the consent calendar?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Abstentions? Okay, motion carries 4-0. Thank you. Okay, let's move on to item 9. I'm used to turning the page with the consent calendar being, I'm trying to find where I'm supposed to be at. Thank you. Okay, item B, educational services. It is recommended that the Board of Education adopt the TK through 6 science curriculum, TWIG education. Is that the right spot?
No, it's 9A, the superintendent's office.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah. Thank you, I
The
apologize.
revisions, sorry. I
My
had a
brain
page
went
turn.
crazy and I was going like, this isn't right, so I apologize.
My fault, I told you wrong.
It's okay, no worries, we'll get through it, okay. Item 9A, it was right in front of me, literally the next thing, so I apologize. Okay, I know, I figured out what happened, but it's okay. All right, so in action calendar, superintendent's office, item A, is recommended the Board of Education receive for first reading revisions to the following board policies.
So moved. Relis.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All right, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All right, any opposed? Abstentions? Okay, motion carries 4-0. All right, now item B,
Now-
educational
now
services.
9B.
Okay, it is recommended the Board of Education adopt the TK through 6 science curriculum, TWIG education, as presented at the January 26, 2022 board meeting. TWIG education, TWIG science, available in English and Spanish, will be implemented in August 2022 for transitional kindergarten through 6th grade.
So moved.
Second.
All right, a motion and a second. Any discussion? All right, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay, any objections or abstentions? Okay, motion carries 4-0. Item 2, it is recommended that the Board of Education adopt resolution number 2021-22/24, pledging to maintain and grow the Aesd arts. Is it R or ADE?
R.
I'm trying to read it in Spanish.
Arts are.
Our education program.
So moved.
Second.
All right, motion and a second. Do I have any discussion? All right, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All right, any opposed? Abstentions? Okay, motion carries 4-0. Okay, item C, SELPA, there are none. Item D, human resources, there are none. Item E, administrative services, none. Okay, let's go on to item 10, board discussion. Let's talk about board member activities related to school business. Trustee Lopez.
Thank you very much, President Alvarez. I would first like to start with what we saw earlier, Dr. Grace, who had presented and was kind enough to let everyone know as the elder there at Jefferson Elementary. And thank you, Trustee Relis, for your encouraging words as well. But that was a fun time. I got to visit 3 different classrooms, serenaded by all the students there, all the excitement. Didn't understand what they were singing to me, but it was very encouraging, and even got a couple of small gifts from the students. There's a Korean toy game that was there, and a couple of different, I got a t-shirt as well, so it was a very exciting time. So can't wait to go back, can't wait for next year. And then February 2nd, I was able to attend a virtual Ponderosa PTA meeting with the first meeting I've been in with Dr. Valdez, our new principal at Ponderosa. Did a great job. I had to skip out just a little early because we had our Lcap meeting the same day, kind of overlap on the time. So I was able to attend a portion of our Lcap meeting also virtually. And then Monday, I was able to meet with a group of teachers just to discuss how we can better support our students and work together and partner and collaborate on that. And that concludes my report. Thank you.
Thank you, Board Member Lopez. Board Member Rose.
Thank you. First, I'd like to start off by saying Happy School Counselor Week to all of our amazing, amazing school counselors here in the Anaheim Elementary School District. Thank you, thank you, thank you for everything that you do for our students that we serve. With that said, I'm going to go ahead and just start off with February 2nd. I was able to go virtually, meeting canceled, so I just saw that it lined up perfectly to attend Coffee with the Counselor over at Ponderosa. And Miss Rosie Chavez presented an amazing presentation to the parents that were there. I honestly had no idea how it was going to turn out, but they had a large group of parents joining virtually as well as in person. So that's very exciting. And the questions that were asked and the questions and the responses that were given, I mean, it was great. And usually when you're working in a virtual setting, sometimes you're like, are we good? You know, like, help me, you know, what's going on here? And feedback is minimal, if at all. But this time around, the parents asked great questions. They were engaged. They were pointing out, you know, it was great overall. The next day, I was in meetings all day, and I basically managed to support our district by going to McDonald's off ball and ordering a number 2 supersized. And basically 25% of the sales went to Olive Street. I said to myself, I'm not going to eat fast food, but it was for the children. Then I just want to end my report by talking about something that is completely relevant to us here in the Anaheim Elementary School District, and I think it speaks a lot to the type of culture we have, our amazing teachers that we have, and all the great things that we have going on here. There's a student in the Anaheim Union High School District named Ruben Rodriguez, and I got his permission to use his name, mainly because of the fact that I found out what he was doing, and it was beautiful. Ruben Rodriguez is a student over at, I want to say, Gilbert. He is really, really talented in regards to calligraphy and the writing and whatnot, Old English, all sorts of good, cool things that are there. And Ruben basically is working with our economics teacher at Cambridge Virtual Academy named Ray Solorzano. And they were brainstorming ideas of what it is that they can do with his talent. And he is involved in this group called the Youth Entrepreneurs, or Empower, as it's now known. And Ruben took his talent and proposed an awesome business plan to Mr. Solorzano, which is that he is making all of these writings into bookmarks on the 3D printer that we have, and the whole focus of it is to raise money for his younger brother who attends John Marshall Elementary School, and to give this money to a Miss Mona Harkey, who has had a significant impact on his brother, he says, who his brother rants and raves about regularly. And I need to basically go to John Marshall Elementary and just thank Ms. Harkey face to face, just because of the fact that this story is awesome. He's a product of Anaheim Elementary. He went into AUHSD. He struggled a little bit, but you know what? Hey, that didn't stop him. He's still at Gilbert finishing up. He sees the value of what's going on in our amazing district, and he wants to get back. And as somebody who was born and raised in Anaheim and is an Anaheim lifelong resident, it's things like that that really, really get me super pumped up and excited about all the great things that we're doing. And this is no doubt a result of the culture that we in Anaheim Elementary School District have helped establish and create. And by having great teachers like Ms. Mona Harkey there working with students and making them feel safe and welcomed, that their older brother wants to raise money for the schools and just donate and help out in whatever way, that I just wanted to bring this all up to all of you. And I told them that we're going to be keeping track of this throughout the year, and I hope that one day we can bring him here and give him some recognition for the great things he's doing for our district. And that concludes my report. Thank you.
Thank you, Board Member Rellis. Board Clerk Philbeck.
Okay, I'll start with, I'll just want to run down a few of the Zoom meetings. First 5, and I mentioned because please look on the website if you are looking for resources and services for birth to 5 years, and check it out, see what's happening, and see where maybe we might be able to assist. YMCA meeting, and mention that because I'm on that board, so when I say we, I mean YMCA is still hiring, looking for the instructors and the people to work in the Anaheim Achieves program. And so if you know anyone, please contact the YMCA. Orange County, I had an Orange County delegate meeting for CSBA, and that was regarding the budgets and school district business, and those are important because it's just a ton of school districts on the line, all of us that are delegates for the whole region 15, and a lot of good information is shared, so I always appreciate those. And in the district, I also attended the Lunar New Year at Jefferson, and I want to thank Principal Song for accommodating me after the first group went through because I couldn't be there then. And thank you, Mrs. Kim in kindergarten, and Miss On in first grade, and Mrs. Hong in second. And I think, Mr. Lopez, if you heard the same song I did, I think it was the second graders, it was about a kite. Does that sound familiar? It was about a kite. And I also received some just fabulous goodie bags, a book and t-shirts and just all kinds of yummy goodies, and I wanted to say thank you. I got to hand out the traditional money and be the elder, and that was a lot of fun. It was just really enjoyable, and the kids just did great. I was amazed at the program, how it has grown, and I was just like blown away. And as I mentioned before, that as man is shifting into Mr. Alvarez's district, but don't worry, I know the way, and I will be back. I'd also like to say that I'm thrilled to welcome Jefferson into District 1, which is my district, so I'm sort of taking away from Mr. Lopez, but I'm sure you know the way and you will be back. That's what's great about all of us, is we really do look at this district as an at-large and to go to any of the schools. And so I love it when schools outside of my district or whatever just send us emails, send us invitations. We love that. So it doesn't have to be in our district. Send us your emails. If you're having a living museum or an assembly you want us at, or some music program, let us know. We're happy to go. Also, I attended the Enrollment Festival at Orange Grove on Saturday, and I always have a blast those days. I will say that the schools and all of the people that put that together and had their booths, they were all just great. There were so many fantastic things to just, welcome people in and show about our district and make us really, we showed up as the amazing AESD. And so I always appreciate that because people are giving up their Saturdays and it was a warm day and they're just giving it their all. It was just amazing. And so I do appreciate everyone that was there participating. And I love to go around booth to booth and get to have the conversations that I don't always get to have, with everybody. It's kind of nice to just visit and find out what the schools, how they're doing and what they want to talk about. So I appreciate that. And hopefully, it looked like there was a lot of people that went through, so that was exciting. And again, also thank you to the counselors for this week, and congratulations to Mrs. Terry, top teachers, one of the top teachers in Orange County. And I believe she's at Jefferson, correct? So, and other than that, I'll just say thank you for listening, and everybody have a great rest of the week and weekend. Thank you.
Thank you, Board Clerk Philbeck. Okay, for my report, January 29th, which is a Saturday, I wasn't able to attend the Lunar New Year activities at the school site, but I was able to attend a parent workshop that they held on the Saturday morning. I'm just impressed with the community that's being built at Jefferson with regards to the families connecting virtually and they got together and they created crafts during that Saturday morning and learned how to bow to their elders and learn different cultural food that's eaten during Lunar New Year. And they created a model of the food with Play-Doh, which is really creative and interesting to see. I learned a lot about Lunar New Year that morning, and it was very informative and nonetheless really fun, right? And so I just want to thank Jacqueline So and Sandra Song for facilitating that and making yet another dynamic, fun morning for our families to enjoy. And then I believe that little toy was called I can't remember it now. It had a really fun name. I wrote it down. Something like a Chuggy Chuggy. Is that the one you played with? It was like a ball of tissue that you can kick around. I wrote it out phonetically because I'm trying to say it my best. Chuggy Chuggy, and I thought that was super playful and fun of a name. Yeah. Yeah. So the students and families actually learned how to make the toy, so it was really cool. Yeah. All right, so on the 2nd of February, I attended the Aesd Lcap meeting. A couple of highlights from there. I like the fact that they introduced the concept of street data. That was great to start seeing that term being spoken out about. And another thing that I think our staff and our families appreciate is that we're currently looking at keeping our current staff numbers. So that's really important with regards to our families, knowing we kind of have some stability at least for another year. So that was really refreshing to hear as news. On Saturday the 5th, I went to the Enrollment Festival. I spent the morning with Dr. Downing. We carpooled in one of the district vans. It was really fun. And then, yeah, just like board member Felbeck mentioned, it's really refreshing just to go around and talk to people and get some insight on things they're doing and just chit-chat for a little while and spend some time together. And I think even though it was a Saturday, I think our staff also appreciated kind of that environment where they got to see each other. They haven't seen each other in a long time, so it was nice. And then we made our way to the Orange County Black History Month Parade. They made the route shorter, so we got through it faster than typical, and we didn't walk it. I did wear my Aesd jacket like we had worn before, but it was a different experience to be in a vehicle. I'm not going to complain about it. But also looking forward to in the future where we can get back to the days where we have a large group showing of students and all of us can go and things like that. So, but nonetheless, a lot of fun. Good way to spend the morning, just waving at community members along the route. I saw a lot of familiar faces. A lot of people actually recognized who we were, and they'd shout out, "That's our school district," and things like that. So there is a sense of pride in our schools and our district around the community. So that's also good, really good and refreshing to hear and see. So just a really good experience that day in the morning. And yeah, like board member Morales had mentioned and Philbeck, I just want to thank our counselors out there for all the work they're doing. It's really hard. There's a lot of deep conversations and situations that we're getting into with our families, and they're doing a fantastic job getting our families through a really tough scenario that we're all living. And so, yeah, we wouldn't be here without any of our employees really plugging in. So, truly appreciated this week specifically because it's a week we're celebrating you around the educational circles, right? So, that's my report. Thank you. All right, so let's move on to item 11, future agenda items. Are there any future agenda items? None? Okay, hearing none, let's go ahead and adjourn this meeting at 8:01. Yeah.